Tonight, a U.S. man charged in a troubling child luring case.
This incident was a terrible reminder of the dangers that lurk on the internet.
How it happened and what you can do to protect your kids. Also tonight.
So we had another high incident timeline in the last couple of months.
Why Steinbach's library is looking to add new security measures while trying to remain as accessible as possible. Plus, last student standing.
Becoming friends with people you weren't friends with before, talking to kids you haven't talked to, just like, it's really about bringing people together.
What is the senior assassin game and why it comes with a warning from police?
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A 32-year-old Ohio man is accused of luring a 10-year-old Manitoba girl online. And according to police, he pressured her to send him sexually explicit photos and videos. Standing by live with the details is CTV's John Hendricks. John, how did the two meet?
On a social media platform, Marilee, where Mounties say the man was posing as a teenage boy.
Their conversation eventually moved over to text messages, where the male continued to groom the girl and convince her to send sexually explicit images and videos of herself to him. This incident was a terrible reminder of the dangers that lurk on the internet, especially for children and teenagers. It only takes a few moments for bad actors to make contact with their next victims.
Manitoba RCMP were alerted to the incident back in December after a relative of the girl discovered the conversation. Investigators say the suspect sent explicit material to the girl as well during their exchange. Mounties worked with U.S. Homeland Security investigators to identify the suspect. He was arrested on February 12th in Wadsworth, Ohio. The Canadian Centre for Child Protection says these types of disturbing incidents are happening more frequently than ever.
And every day we receive reports very similar to what Corporal Clements just outlined. Since 2020, the reports received through the tip line related to online luring have risen by more than 3 times, from around 750 reports in 2020 to over 3,300 reports this past year.
32-year-old Courtney Arden Wise III has been charged by U.S. officials with sexual exploitation of children, receipt of visual depictions of real minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct, and possession of child pornography. He remains in custody. Police in the States believe there may be other victims out there.
John, any advice for parents? I mean, how should they approach this subject with their kids?
You know, the Canadian Centre for Child Protection is encouraging parents to educate their children about online safety and to be aware of their child's activity on social media platforms. The centre has resources available for families online at cybertips.ca.
All right, thanks for this, John. A former hockey coach who admitted to sexually assaulting a teen player has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. Madison Billick had an inappropriate sexual relationship with the girl between 2019 and 2021. Billick initially faced 15 charges and pleaded guilty to luring and sexual assault. She was in her 20s at the time of the offenses, which started when the victim was just 15. Provincial Court Judge Jerry Ryle says Billick used her authority and influence to groom the player. The judge says Billick caused emotional and psychological harm, and the ripple effects continue today. Police need your help tracking down a suspect in a home invasion in Rither Park South. It happened on the morning of April 2nd in the 100 block of Alberg Drive. Police say a woman identified herself as a police officer before pushing past the homeowner and trying to steal something from the home's entranceway. Ultimately, they were not successful, and no one was injured. Investigators say she drove off in a gray or silver Chevy Cobalt and was accompanied by a second vehicle, a blue Hyundai Palisade. Anyone with information or video footage is asked to contact the Major Crimes Unit or Crime Stoppers. Security measures are being eyed at Steinbach Public Library. Illegal activity is being conducted in bathrooms, and in a reading corner it was forced to close. Staff found drug paraphernalia. A fight even broke out between guests at a Christmas event for children. CTV's Jeff Keel now on the short and long-term solutions. The library hopes will close the book on the safety issues for good.
Carol Minty says visiting the Jacob Library in Steinbach is like going home.
I was a teacher librarian, so that's where you go when you're looking for your happy spot.
But recently, Minty's noticed some unwanted activity at that happy spot.
Foolishness, things that shouldn't be happening in a library, you know.
Library Director Aubrey Walker says off and on they've been dealing with some safety incidents, including people engaging in illegal activity, drug paraphernalia has been found, and some even had weapons in their bags. The most unsettling was a scuffle between two patrons.
Well, that one was in December, right during our Santa Day, when we have a bunch of children in the library, which is not ideal.
So they instituted some temporary security measures. The bathrooms were locked, bags had to be checked in, and this reading corner was closed because staff couldn't always monitor what was going on.
It just wasn't being utilized correctly, and we found that was a space where we would find things after the fact.
The bathrooms are now open and there are no more bag checks as things have calmed down. Still, Walker says they need a long-term solution. She says a security guard, even metal detectors can't be ruled out, but they're looking for the least intrusive plan. They want a security camera system installed first to see if that's enough.
We need security cameras in here that will help us see what's actually going on when we can't be there. Because people get really good at hiding things when you start walking around.
Steinbach Mayor Earl Funk says the city might be able to help once provincial grant money for safety upgrades becomes available.
So once we know what we need to do in order to access that money, then we'll go down those avenues to get it done.
Carol Minty believes cameras would assist the staff.
Because it will keep them going, and we want to keep our library going. It's the heart of the community.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Steinbach.
The Winnipeg Fire and Paramedic Service is warning dry, warm weather has made grass in the city ripe for fires. In a social media post, the service says Winnipeggers should exercise caution. You're asked to keep your lawns pruned and tidy and to water plants and vegetation around your home, especially when it's dry out. Extra caution is also advised when using outdoor fire pits and barbecues. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. A bit windy out there, but for those worried about the dry conditions, some rain is falling.
Some welcomed rain, sure. Now, there is also the risk of thunderstorms, which we don't want, but we do welcome this rain coming through, hoping to clean up a bit of the dust out there in the city. But it's not just Winnipeg, of course, that has seen the rain today. It's been crossing the south. It's moving across the north as well, all courtesy of a low that will be moving across Manitoba tonight. I'll have more details on the rain ahead, a look ahead to the rest of the week, of course, and into the May long weekend just around the corner. But for now, let's take a look through that CTV Live Eye. It's brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, with the rain falling lightly, it's 12 degrees. Winds from the east-southeast at 24 kilometers an hour. They've eased up a bit, but don't count on that lasting long. The pressure's dropped, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 59%.
Thanks, Colleen. Manitoba RCMP are appealing for information following a fatal hit and run over the weekend on a Northern First Nation. Mounties say the call came in around 12:30 a.m. Saturday in Pimachikamak Cree Nation. A 43-year-old man was found with life-threatening injuries on Island Park Drive near Beardy's Point. He was brought to the local nursing station where he was pronounced dead. RCMP say witnesses reported he was hit by a pickup truck, which did not remain at the scene. Anyone with information is asked to contact Cross Lake RCMP. A Winnipeg nurse has been suspended and fined after a critically ill patient died in her care at Grace Hospital in 2022. Tammy Wolf pleaded guilty last year to multiple charges brought by the College of Registered Nurses of Manitoba over professional misconduct. An inquiry committee found multiple instances of misconduct, which occurred during a single 12-hour shift when Wolf was responsible for a 68-year-old patient who was admitted days earlier for worsening shortness of breath. Among those was noting the patient was lethargic and confused while writing on another form they were alert. A correct assessment would have required notifying a physician and possibly a move to a higher level of care. In another instance, Wolf recorded a dose of an opioid was withheld because of the patient's reduced level of consciousness, but never consulted a physician or explained the change in the person's condition. She was suspended for 3 weeks, ordered to pay $8,000, and also must complete a handful of courses, including medication management and critical thinking. Well, if you see some high school kids running around with swimming goggles and toy water guns, don't be alarmed. It's called Senior Assassin, a worldwide game played by grade 12 students trying to have a last hurrah before grad. And as CTV's Harrison Shin shows you, both schools and police are advising them to stay safe. Pew, 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 pew.
These are the 007s of Kelvin High School. The grade 12 students have been playing something called Senior Assassin.
It's about like bringing everyone together and making sure that we're all one like whole class before we graduate. Becoming friends with people you weren't friends with before, talking to kids you haven't talked to, just like, it's really about bringing people together, you know, a community-based game.
Using an app called Splashin, for a month, grade 12 students are tasked to spray their fellow senior students with a water gun. In Kelvin High School's case, assassins pay $5 to enter, building up to around a $700 grand prize for the last one standing.
I go out with my friends and we just have a good time going around, driving around the city, trying to hunt down our classmates.
Promise me we're truce. We're truce. Yeah.
Concerns from both school administrations and police have been raised. In Sturgeon Heights Collegiate's case, playing the game on school grounds is prohibited. The school's principal says they are encouraging students to stay safe. In a statement, Manitoba RCMP say no local incidents have been reported yet, but emphasize that carrying an imitation firearm can have legal consequences, asking students and parents to make safe, responsible choices. The Kelvin High School game has rules like being respectful, only spraying on public property, and not targeting innocent bystanders.
The players aren't typically going inside of the businesses to try and shoot people. We wait till they leave.
And for Rain's mother, Carla Brisky, she's a big fan of the game.
There has been some examples of some people kind of not playing the game properly or doing the wrong thing, but for the most part, it's great. It's positive. It gets them outside, gets them off the phones, gets them running around, they're laughing.
CTV News reached out to the Winnipeg School Division and the Winnipeg Police Service for comment and is awaiting for responses. Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
3 new facilities opened up for Sage Creek's DSFM school over the weekend.
Although this is only the beginning, École Passage des Hivernants is thinking big. And I know that with your support of the community, it will soon become the jewel of the Sage Creek region.
A new basketball court, a swing set, and a covered outdoor learning area opened Saturday. The project cost $62,000. $50,000 was paid for through the St. Vital Ward Land Dedication Reserve. The rest came from DSFM. The space was designed to enrich students' daily lives as well as support physical and mental wellness. A Winnipeg steakhouse with a South American flair is closing up shop after 17 years in business. Hermano's Steakhouse on Bannatyne Avenue will serve its final Brazilian ribeyes and Argentinian strip steaks at the end of the month. In a video posted to social media, Hermano's owner says the family is shifting its focus to a new restaurant opening up in Brandon. However, Winnipeg's Hermano's faithful won't have to wait too long for another meal. They're planning to open a new location in the East Exchange this fall. Hermano's will be open Wednesday to Sunday until it closes on May 29th. Have you ever thought of adding hotelier to your resume? Well, this just may be your chance. The iconic folk Garry Hotel is about to hit the market. The 13-story building opened in 1913 by Grand Trunk Pacific Railway. It was designated a National Historic Site in 1981. The property sprawls over a whopping 60,000 feet and includes 236 suites, a spa, restaurants, meeting spaces, and more.
But when you're looking at an iconic asset like this, 100 years old, they're irreplaceable. And so it's interesting when you try and look at all the various components that drive revenue at an asset like this. No one's building them like this.
As for the price tag, well, that's yet to be determined, but rest assured, it won't be cheap. Federal NDP leader Abby Lewis was back in Winnipeg today. Lewis and Winnipeg Centre MP Leah Gazan are hosting a town hall tonight at Sinclair Park Community Centre. They're calling on the federal government to reverse the cuts to Canada Post. This was Lewis's first time back in Winnipeg since being elected leader during the NDP leadership convention here in the city in late March. Thousands of union leaders, workers, and activists are gathering in Winnipeg this week. The Canadian Labour Congress opened its 31st triennial constitutional convention today, the first time it's been held here in Winnipeg in the past 40 years. From now through Friday, delegates will participate in panel discussions and hear from guest speakers on democracy, workers' rights, and the economy. Speakers include union and business leaders, politicians, and more.
This is when Canada's unions bring delegates together and we discuss the most important issues, and it really sets the tone of what we're going to prioritize over the next 3 years.
The Congress's executive vice president says much of the talk surrounds what's happening in the world, including tariffs, job security, and health care. The Canadian Labour Congress is Canada's largest labour organization and represents more than 3 million workers across the country. City crews will start flushing water mains in southeast Winnipeg later this week. Water main flushing is done to help maintain underground water pipes and preserve water quality. The annual program is set to begin on May 13th with work initially in St. Boniface. Work will continue around the city until the end of August with a focus on neighborhoods in St. Vital, Transcona, and parts of River East. Affected households will be notified 2 to 4 days in advance of the work. You can find out when crews will be on your street using the map on My Utility Info. Still to come tonight, new figures suggest travel south of the border is down even more than first thought.
Stay in Canada and spend our money here.
How much those numbers have plummeted and how researchers were able to zero in on the data just ahead. Taking a look at the markets, crude oil added $2.65. The loonie rose to 73.17 cents U.S. Gold futures lost $2. The TSX was up 61 points. The Dow Jones gained 95 points, while the Nasdaq made a small gain. New data tonight from the City and Statistics Canada suggests Winnipeg is weathering the current economic turbulence better than most of the country. The numbers show Winnipeg's GDP rose 1.7% last year, just a hair above the national average. But looking at the past 3 years, the city's GDP is up 2.3% compared to the 1.9% seen nationally. Gains were seen across various sectors, particularly construction, manufacturing, wholesale, and retail trade. 2 reports are out tonight painting a more detailed picture of trips taken by Canadians to the U.S. We now have a better idea of how business and pleasure travel has changed as a result of Donald Trump's trade war. CTV's Mike Couture has the details.
Ottawa's Tulip Festival is a huge draw for tourists. These Montrealers used to take an annual trip to the New England coast, but since Canada-U.S. relations started to wilt, they're traveling domestically instead.
Stay in Canada and spend our money here, rather than encourage the American people who have this silly leader that they've got.
And it seems they're not alone. Researchers from the University of Toronto analyzed Canadian cell phone usage in the U.S. over a period of 2 years and found a median decline of 42%. More than the initial estimates of a 25% decrease. But that did include freight travel and Canadians who have to travel to the U.S. for work.
We think they're taking a lot more meetings at home in Canada on Zoom.
Researchers say it's even more apparent in some industries hit by the trade war.
You're seeing much less travel to places like Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's not a loss of tourist travel. That's a loss of trade-related travel related to the auto industry.
The new numbers from Statistics Canada show a slight uptick in cross-border traffic last month. In April, 1.8 million Canadians made return trips to the U.S. That's up 1.4% compared to the same month in 2025. It's the first time there's been an overall increase since December of 2024.
There will be those that will not travel to the U.S. no matter what, but I'm seeing many that had that attitude at the beginning are now softening and actually traveling now and going there also.
Despite that bump, Stats Canada numbers show when you compare April of this year to April of 2024, before cross-border tensions reignited, travel is down by 30%. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Precautionary measures are in place with all Canadian passengers who were on board a cruise ship affected by a deadly outbreak of hantavirus. They're now home and isolating. Those possibly exposed on international flights are also being monitored. None, though, are said to be infected. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
Most of the roughly 130 passengers aboard the MV Hondius have returned home or are in the process of getting there, including 4 Canadians who arrived in British Columbia after being flown from the Canary Islands on Sunday.
All 4 were and continue to be well and have no symptoms.
BC's top doctor Bonnie Henry says while strict isolation protocols were put in place aboard the cruise ship in early May, 2 passengers, an American and a French national, have tested positive for the virus since returning home, reinforcing the need for strict public health protocols during the incubation period.
We are all hoping that the 4 people who are here with us will remain well through this incubation period, but this is exactly why we are taking the precautions and why plans are in place should their conditions change.
Henry says the quarantine clock for the 4 Canadians started yesterday. They will quarantine for 21 days and be monitored for 42, the longest known incubation period for the virus, a rare rodent-borne pathogen that can cause serious illness in humans. 3 people have died since the deadly outbreak began aboard the Hondias, with at least 7 confirmed cases and 2 reported cases. More than 20 countries are now working to contain the spread of the virus, including Canada, where at least 10 people are being monitored. Today, Ontario's Minister of Health confirmed a 3rd person is now self-isolating in the province.
We have not seen any indication that they were in close contact and would become symptomatic.
Today, the ship's captain released a video praising the resolve of the passengers and the crew.
And I must commend my crew for their courage and the selfless resolve that they showed time and again in the most difficult moments.
And in a sign of just how quickly things can change, the World Health Organization says the French passenger who began experiencing symptoms on the flight back home is now in hospital in critical condition. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
The man accused of trying to kill Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner has pleaded not guilty. Cole Thomas Allen was arraigned in a Washington federal court today. Prosecutors say he opened fire while running through a security checkpoint and shot at one Secret Service officer. Attorneys for Allen are asking top Justice Department officials to be disqualified from the case, arguing conflict of interest because they were at the event. Canada is imposing new sanctions on Russia, this time for violating the rights of Ukrainian children.
Russia is stealing Ukrainian children, indoctrinating Ukrainian children, and refusing to return these children to their families.
Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand was in Brussels today with the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. Global Affairs says thousands of Ukrainian children have been forcibly moved to Russia since 2014. The new sanctions are against at least 23 individuals and 5 entities. Meantime, the United States has issued new Iran-related sanctions. The punitive measures were announced hours after U.S. President Donald Trump suggested the ceasefire is hanging by a thread following Tehran's latest peace proposal.
It's unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support.
Iran wants sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, an end to the American naval blockade, compensation for war damage, and a guarantee of no further attacks, among other demands. The U.S. proposed an end to fighting before starting talks on more contentious issues such as Tehran's nuclear program. Today marks the last day for people to fill out their census forms. Statistics Canada says reminder letters will be sent out to households which don't complete the form on time. They may also follow up with phone calls and in-person visits. Not completing the form could eventually result in a $500 fine. The census is completed every 5 years, and the information is used in population-based decisions on how public resources are allocated.
We felt it was important just to leave a legacy of who we were.
Passing the torch, how a group of Churchill High School alumni are hoping to inspire the next generation as they mark 50 years since their own graduation.
A beautiful start to the long-range forecast on Wednesday for Winnipeg in the sunshine with a high of 22 degrees. Temperatures almost as warm on Thursday, but it will likely turn soggy with rain or showers expected. Increasing clouds on Friday, and by comparison, a much cooler high of 16 degrees. Then we get into the long weekend, at least the first 2/3. Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, 13 degrees. Then Sunday, showers likely with a high of 11.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know.
Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
It's grad season. Do you remember yours? Churchill High School is bringing together the class of 1976 to mark its 50th anniversary. But it's not just about reminiscing about days gone by. As CTV's Joseph Bernacki shows you, the alumni plan to help out future students.
Here's Elaine, Laura, Timmer, Colpitz, Doug.
As they step back in time, looking at their yearbook from Churchill High School's graduating class of 76, 50-year-old memories come flooding back for Teresa Garside and Martino Vergata.
Well, I do remember we were making hundreds of tissue paper flowers to decorate the cars in those days for graduation.
The student body was amazing. Again, lots of sports, lots of studies together. Semantics, of course, it's high school.
Garside, Vergata, and a number of Bulldogs alumni from their class got together 3 years ago to start planning a 50th anniversary reunion. On June 12th, a majority of the 155 graduates aim to reunite at the Gates on Roblin for a special evening. But it's not just reminiscing and seeing how people ended up. They are launching an annual scholarship in honor of the class of 76.
And it rewards a student who exemplifies kindness, compassion, and community spirit.
Called the Golden Bulldog Award, or Goldie for short, this statue will be given to recipients. It was made by a classmate now living in British Columbia. An endowment fund has been created with generous support from beyond the class.
We felt it was important just to leave a legacy of who we were, because it was an amazing, it still is an amazing graduating class. You want to leave a legacy. You want to leave something besides just a name.
Garside says her friendship with Vergata started when they were 12. It's been difficult to reach everyone from their class. Of the 155, she estimates 20 have passed on, leaving about 40 people they are hoping to reconnect with ahead of the event.
Part of organizing this, I've kind of reacquainted myself with people that I didn't necessarily even have conversations with in high school, but there's a bond there that's intangible.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with an update on the rain falling over parts of the province.
Yes, the low responsible for the rain in Manitoba will be crossing the province tonight, and we'll notice an abrupt change in the winds overnight here in the south. We've had strong south winds, and you can see they're still very strong on your screen there coming from the south now. Overnight, we'll get a bit of a break. They diminish, but only for a couple of hours, then they redevelop. Only they will have flipped around and come from the north. So you can see those showers moving through Winnipeg, the Red River Valley, and areas up into the Interlake and further into southeastern Manitoba. Northwestern Ontario, you're on deck, and it looks like the first of that rain is just about to move into Kenora now. But right around the region, there is the possibility of both showers with the risk of thunderstorms more so in the overnight hours. In Kenora, speaking of which, it's 12 degrees, 14 in Winnipeg, 22 in Brandon. Last hour, Melita was cruising at 26 degrees, 25 right now. 15 in Dauphin. In the north, it's 13 degrees in Thompson. Over in Lynn Lake, it's 11. Over up in the northeast around Churchill, it is 8 degrees. So we've got that rain spreading across southern and central parts of the province. It will cross parts of the north. If not overnight, certainly as we get into tomorrow during the day, it's going to be raining across much of the northeast. But later on this evening anyway, we'll still have that rain coming down across a good swath of the south with the risk of thunderstorms still. And as I mentioned, as we get into the overnight hours, the risk of thunderstorms shifts over the border into Ontario, but we still will likely be contending with at least the showers continuing to fall overnight here in the southeast. We get into tomorrow morning, there's a very slim chance you could see some showers around Brandon in the morning, but more so you'll get that clearing happening. Meanwhile, there's a good possibility we'll be driving in the commute tomorrow morning here in the Red River Valley in those showers. But as we go throughout the afternoon, we'll see at least partial clearing. We'll get that sunshine back later on in the day. Meanwhile, up in the northeast, you can see those showers falling there. Drier conditions over in much of the northwest. Overnight we go, clearing into Wednesday, where the sunshine will return. Nice warm temperatures in the low 20s here in the south. It will be a lovely day before things turn soggy again on Thursday here in Winnipeg and for much of southern Manitoba. Soggy tonight with those rain showers falling in the city. There is the risk of a thunderstorm. 7 is our low. Winds strong out of the south at 40, gusting to 60. But like I say, in the overnight hours, 3, 4 in the morning, the winds diminish, but only for a couple of hours before they redevelop and come straight out of the north. Anticipate a blustery day tomorrow here in Winnipeg. 8 degrees during the commute with that good possibility of showers. Partial clearing in the afternoon on the way to a very windy high of 17 degrees. Those winds coming straight from the north as well. Up into the northeast tonight, we'll see showers likely later in Churchill, down to 2 there. Thompson showers down to 1. And then around the region tomorrow, showers or rain. Thompson up to 7 degrees. In the northwest tonight, there's a chance of showers in Lynn Lake, otherwise cloudy down to 0. But soggier through Flin Flon, OC and the Paw and Norway House. Overnight lows 5, 6 degrees. Now the rain will continue in the morning for Norway House. It wraps up as you head into the afternoon. Conversely, Flin Flon and the Paw up to 14 in those areas. A mix of sun and cloud much of the day with a lower chance of showers in the afternoon. In the southwest tonight, if you are seeing any showers in the area, they will not be lasting long. Otherwise, partly cloudy for most areas. Brandon down to 7, 6 overnight for Dauphin. Now, again, there's that slight chance of showers in the morning, but otherwise you'll get sunshine into the afternoon in Brandon and Neepawa, up to 19 and very strong winds. Dauphin and Swan River, there's a low chance of showers, but you'll see sun as well, up to 19, 20 degrees. Winnipeg in the southeast, we have those showers coming through now. Overnight lows 7, 8 degrees for most of us with that risk of thunderstorms. And then in the morning, we'll likely see those showers pass through. More sunshine as we get later into the day with highs around 17, 18 degrees. A little less warm to the east of the city and in northwestern Ontario. Showers, maybe with thunderstorms overnight. You might get a break in the morning for a few hours with rain resuming around midday with highs between 9 and 11 degrees. Our first weather photo is from Michelle. Now, she said she took this photo on the shore by the golf course at Clear Lake, and she just noted you can still see some ice there and those clouds reflecting on the water. Lindsay took this photo out in Brandon at the Riverbank Discovery Center. A lot of water out there. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. The University of Manitoba was the place to be this weekend for anyone curious about science and engineering. The university's Fort Garry campus hosted Science Rendezvous, Manitoba's largest hands-on science and engineering festival Saturday. Rockets, drones, robots, and more attracted curious children with help from some 600 volunteers. More than 60 booths offered hands-on learning opportunities to thousands of attendees.
What we are focusing here today is to create a space for especially young minds to have science explained to them in an accessible manner in a language that they would understand, and kind of igniting that passion, that curiosity in them in a very young age.
Other faculties also participated, such as arts, agriculture, and food sciences. Ahead, stretched too thin. A new study shines a light on the financial and mental toll facing Canadian caregivers. I'm going to speak with one of the researchers right after the break. More than half of Canada's caregivers are balancing work with the demands of caring for a loved one, and many say the pressure is becoming unbearable. Joining me now to talk more about how the affordability crisis is putting added pressure on caregivers is James Gennaro with the Canadian Centre for Caregiving Excellence. James, great to speak with you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Good afternoon.
First, can you give us an idea of just how many Canadians are finding themselves serving as a caregiver these days?
Certainly. So 1 in 4 Canadians is a caregiver today. That's over 8 million of us. And half of all Canadian women are a caregiver already today in 2026. If you fast forward a little bit, at some point in our lives, half of all Canadians will be a caregiver to somebody in their lives.
Now, this affordability crisis is hitting most Canadians hard. I'm curious, though, what kind of specific challenges it is posing for caregivers?
Well, we've recently released a report last week with some new data from our Caregiving Canada survey, and our numbers tell us that nearly half of caregivers across the country experience financial strain of some sort related to their caregiving responsibilities. A big part of this is the fact that they're spending a lot of money out of pocket on various caregiver responsibilities. Many, for example, about 20%, spend on average $1,000 a month, which ends up being about $12,000 a year on out-of-pocket expenses directly related to their care responsibilities. Talking about things like incontinence supplies, nutritional aids, home modifications, that sort of thing. That's a lot of money, particularly during a time of increased cost of living. Finding an extra $1,000 a month isn't easy for most people across the country.
Yeah, in addition to, just the emotional burnout of all of this, what is the result of this added financial strain then on caregivers? What's the effect it's having?
Well, the number that's really quite stark coming from our data, again, is that over 20% of caregivers have stopped saving completely as a result of the financial strain due to their care responsibilities. So what does that mean? That means that today they're not saving for a rainy day. They're not saving for, say, a loss of a job, or saving for an emergency, a car repair or a roof repair, or having to move or something like that. So there's an immediate risk that comes along with not saving, but also a longer-term risk that comes along with that, because this also means that people are not saving for their retirements. So at the same time as people are feeling this pressure due to their care responsibilities, they're not saving for a potential future immediate rainy day that they would be squirreling away some money for, but they're really mortgaging their long-term financial security as well, because they're not preparing for their retirement as well.
Your organization is calling for urgent government action to address this. I'm curious what exactly you'd like to see done.
Well, not surprisingly, given the cost of living crisis and the urgency around affordability issues, our number one issue is around financial supports for caregivers. And our data bear that out very, very clearly, that the number one thing that caregivers want to see is some cash in their pockets to help with their caregiving responsibilities. I'll give you an example. 88% of caregivers in Manitoba say that they want a refundable Canada Caregiver Credit. This is a tax credit that already exists today. It's non-refundable. We've been calling on the federal government to convert it from non-refundable to refundable for years now, and that would have the material effect of putting a little bit of cash in the pocket of caregivers immediately. It's that sort of thing that caregivers are crying out for, some immediate financial help as we navigate this combined cost of living crisis, affordability crisis, as well as the care crisis.
Well, James, I want to thank you so much for your insight into this report. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
A new study suggests mothers with endometriosis face a slightly higher risk of giving birth to babies with birth defects. It's the first Canadian study to examine the health of babies born to mothers with the condition. The study, published today by the Canadian Medical Association Journal, analyzed data of more than 1.4 million births in Ontario between 2006 and 2021. Among those born to people who had endometriosis, about 6.3% had a congenital anomaly. That's compared to 5.4% born to people without endometriosis. Endometriosis impacts roughly 1 million people in Canada, making it one of the most common gynecological conditions. A new study from Yale University found helping parents manage stress may lower the risk of unhealthy weight gain in young children. Researchers found parents who reported less stress had more positive interactions with their children, and their kids ate fewer unhealthy foods. Experts say stress at home can shape family routines, food choices, sleep, and physical activity, all of which may affect a child's health. The findings suggest supporting parents could be an important part of preventing childhood obesity early in life. So, what can families do? Well, experts recommend simple stress relief habits like taking a walk, asking for help when needed, and keeping regular meal and bedtime routines. Many people seem to be coughing and sneezing these days, and allergies may not be the only reason. It could actually be HMPV, a common respiratory illness that spreads through coughs, sneezes, and close contact. The virus is most common in late winter and spring, and researchers say it sickens millions of people each year. For most, it feels like a common cold, unpleasant but not life-threatening. But for babies, older adults, and those with weaker immune systems, it can sometimes lead to pneumonia. There's no vaccine and no specific treatment. If you do get sick, rest, fluids, and basic care are usually enough. But the best thing to do is to try to stop the virus before it comes home. Cover your coughs and sneezes, regularly clean shared surfaces like tables and doorknobs, and always wash your hands well.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
It's showtime.
The juice is loose, and he's headed for a stage here in Winnipeg. We'll tell you when you can watch the hit Broadway musical Beetlejuice next in Spotlight.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting The Incline, Sweet Dreams of Patsy Cline.
It's showtime. A Broadway hit based on a beloved Tim Burton film is heading out on a North American tour with a series of shows here in Winnipeg.
Beetlejuice! 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 It's showtime.
Beetlejuice, the musical comedy, will be taking the stage at Centennial Concert Hall for 5 shows at the end of January. It tells the story of Lydia Dietz, whose life is turned upside down when she meets a recently deceased couple and a troublemaking demon. Group tickets for 10 or more are on sale now. Single tickets will be available in the fall. You can find all the details by heading online to BroadwayAcrossCanada.ca. A Manitoba singer-songwriter is among a star-studded lineup announced for the 2026 FIFA World Cup opening ceremony.
Only stories in this town.
William Prince will join other Canadian performers, including Alanis Morissette, Alessia Cara, and Michael Bublé. The opening ceremony is set to take place ahead of Team Canada's game against Bosnia in Toronto on June 12th. In a social media post, Prince calls it a privilege to represent his community of Peguis First Nation and Canada. Mexico and the United States will host their own opening ceremonies with a lineup including J Balvin, Katy Perry, and Future. The Devil Wears Prada 2 stayed in style at the top of the weekend box office.
Here to help us through our current scandal.
Click, 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 everywhere.
The sequel, starring Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci, brought in another $43 million U.S. across North America. Mortal Kombat 2 debuted in second place with $40 million, while Michael danced its way into third place with $36.5 million in ticket sales. Elton John received one of Canada's most prestigious cultural honors this weekend. The legendary British singer-songwriter was at the theatre at the Great Canadian Casino Resort in Etobicoke to accept the Glenn Gould Prize for his lifelong contribution to the arts. The evening featured a star-studded all-Canadian tribute lineup handpicked by John himself, including performances by Sarah McLachlan and The Beaches. The Simpsons will be coming back to Quebec with a local accent.
Il y a quelques mois, il a été annoncé que les Simpsons ne seraient plus doublés au Québec et que nous devrions tous regarder la version produite en France.
Ce qui voulait dire pour nous ne plus regarder les Simpsons.
Last year, the network that aired The Simpsons in Quebec stopped airing new episodes. That meant an end to decades of dubbing the show into Quebecois French. Instead, only the version dubbed by actors in France was available for French language viewers. But now, our sister station Nouveau has picked up the show and will resume dubbing the voices of the characters in Quebec. Your Monday primetime lineup starts with The Big Bang Theory and Hockey Fanatics at 7. 2 more episodes of The Big Bang Theory at 8. The Rookie is on at 9. It is all right here tonight on CTV.
Well, the calves, as you can see, they're able to walk within the first hour of being born.
Welcome to The Herd, how Fort White Alive helped its herd of bison celebrate Mother's Day this weekend. Stay with us.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Well, a break from the showers right now. Actually, even a little bit of sun trying to poke out over downtown. It's 14 degrees, winds out of the east-southeast at 29 kilometers an hour. There may well be more showers to come yet tonight, though. Highest temperature today was 17 degrees. On this day a year ago, 31.5. The record, 1887, 32.8 degrees on this day. Let's look ahead here to tonight. We drop down to around 7 degrees, so staying well above freezing. Rain showers, like I say, quite possible to resume this evening into Tuesday morning. More sun in the afternoon, 17. Beautiful Wednesday, 22. Soggy on Thursday, merrily, and then a little cooler as we head into that May long weekend.
Thanks, Colleen. Fort White Alive extended Mother's Day wishes to its bison this year. The Mother's Day Baby Bison Walk celebrated the newest mums in the herd. 5 baby calves were actually born over the past 2 weeks, and even more are on the way. They joined the 35 adult bison already roaming around Fort White Alive.
The way they graze through the land, the way they walk, and their heavy weight that helps turn any seeds that are on the ground, helps to bring about new life, and also their behavior of wallowing on the ground that creates some divots in the ground, and that helps to collect rainwater that creates some wetlands.
Bison only need about 2 years to become full grown. Fort White Alive is home to the only urban herd of bison living in a North American city. Look how cute they are, too. Fun to watch. Another reason to head out to Fort White Alive.
Of course, yeah.
Weather will be great for it this week for the most part. So
Wednesday, beautiful day.
Pop in and see the babies.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for us tonight. Have a good one.